Marketing Branding Conclave 2025. Title sponsor Star Cement Solid Setting. Powered by State Bank of India, the banker to every Indian. Dindal Port Authority, Kandla. Diamond partner Amrit Cement. Co-powered by Numoligo Refinery Limited, Nestle Lactogro, a nutritious and tasty biscuity and vanilla-flavored milk drink. Education partner, Smart IS Foundation. Inspired, empower and succeed. Ajmal Foundation. Radio partner, Gupshup. Print partner, Assam Tribune. Hospitality partner, Radisson Blue. Digital partner, G+.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to start off with our panel discussion on marketing. This is the marketing session, harnessing the current trends to transform marketing strategies. I'd like to request the moderator, Dr. Sriparna Bhuiya-Barua, to kindly come onto the stage and take her seat. And while she comes up, ladies and gentlemen, let me do the honors of introducing her. Dr. Sriparna B. Barua is a development professional with 35 years of work experience in management education and in small and medium enterprise development. Dr. Barua was associated with the Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship as head, Center for Industrial Extension, and as director in charge. Dr. Barua is currently associated with the NorthEast Handloom and Handicraft Development Corporation, that is NEHHDC for short, as advisor, livelihoods and entrepreneurship. During her career span of 35 years, in the initial 10 years when she was working with the Assam Institute of Management, Dr. Barua played a pioneering role in promoting management education in Northeast India. Later, when she joined the Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship, her experience for more than 2 decades has been on entrepreneurship and livelihood promotion. Dr. Barua has been working towards developing the ecosystem for promoting women entrepreneurship and startups in the social sector. For the last 5 years, she has been actively involved in facilitating creation of a startup ecosystem in Northeast India and has been regularly mentoring and hand-holding existing and potential startups in opportunity, guidance and scaling up. Dr. Sriparna B. Barua has received the Bharat Vikas Award for her contribution to the livelihood sector from the Institute of Self-Reliance on the 19th of November 2017. A hearty welcome to you, ma'am, and a huge round of applause for Dr. Sriparna B. Barua, and she will be moderating this session. I would like to call on the first panelist, of course, in no particular order. Mr. Chiragh Cherian, Director, Sevenfold Communications, may I request you, sir, to kindly come onto the dais. And while he comes up, Mr. Chiragh Cherian is the founder of Sevenfold Communications, an agency that specializes in high-bust media engagement. Prior to this venture, Chiragh successfully created and led the digital PR practices for 14 plus years at Perfect Relations. During his career, Chiragh has won several Indian and global awards for his PR campaigns. And Chiragh believes in creating new solutions for existing problems. A hearty welcome to you, Chiragh. We would like those applauses coming because we have some very wonderful people on stage. So the more you applaud, we're going to feel better. Our second panelist for this session is Ms. Riddhi Sharma, CEO and founder, Thought in a Dot. May I request ma'am to kindly come forward and take her seat. Riddhi Sharma is a seasoned entrepreneur with over 9 years of experience, having grown her company, Thought in a Dot, from a one-person venture to a team of 13 plus. Her agency now manages over 100 brands, more than 40 leadership profiles across industries, in-house consistently. A graduate of a fully funded finance and entrepreneurship course by Goldman Sachs at IIM Bengaluru, Riddhi's expertise spans content marketing and leadership profiling. It's my honor to welcome you, ma'am. Our next panelist is Mr. Samrat Deka. May I request you, sir, to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat. Mr. Samrat Deka is the director of SRD Nutrients. He joined the family business in 1998 and helped it grow from an organization employing around 150 people to one that employs more than 3,500 people in 2020. After completing a simple graduation, he started working with the family business run under the banner of SRD Group from the age of 22. It's my privilege to welcome you, Mr. Samrat. And our last but The superb panelist is Ms. Sanghamitra Phukan. May I request you, ma'am, to kindly come on to the dais and take your seat. Sanghamitra Phukan is an Indian fashion designer and co-founder of the Indo-Italian sustainable fashion label Sanghamitra, established in London in 2008. She has been a pioneer in blending traditional Indian craftsmanship with contemporary design, working extensively with rare indigenous silks like Muga, Gisa Muga, Pat and Eri silk. These fabrics are ethically sourced and handcrafted by artisan communities in Assam, reflecting her deep-rooted commitment to sustainability and cultural preservation. Her work has gained international recognition, including a showcase at London Fashion Week Autumn-Winter 2013-14, where she introduced her unique fusion of heritage textiles and modern silhouettes. It's my privilege to welcome you, ma'am, Sanghamitra. And I will now hand over the entire session to Dr. Sriparna. Ma'am.
So a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all the fellow panelists, a very young group of panel, and I feel so good. I feel young to be with such a young group of panelists here. And session definitely will be of interest to everyone here. And the session that we have today is harnessing the current trends, and rightly so. We have a very young and dynamic group talking about how to harness the current trends and frame marketing strategies. That's the theme that we are going to discuss today. When we talk, before we start, when we talk about current trends, what do we see? As anyone who's been in the field, entrepreneurs here, what do we see when we talk about current trends? Definitely one thing which comes to our mind is digital transformation, which is happening, right? What else comes to our mind? Storytelling, sustainability, right? Sustainability is the other thing which is coming in. Influencers, micro-influencers, technology, as a facilitator, where we use virtual reality, augmented reality, we're doing personal selling, personalized selling, I would say. So this is where we talk about current trends. And then we are talking about strategy. When we talk about strategy, what do we say? It's a sort of structured thought process. Strategy is always a structured thought process in which we move. Now, in this panel that we mostly have, as I was telling all the panelists here, we mostly have small micro entrepreneurs here, where resources are a startup whose resources are always a constraint. So within the constraint of resources, how do I absorb, how do I take what is available in the space, and then how do I how do I have my marketing strategy? This is the theme on which we are all going to discuss. The first round, I would ask while Tinat has introduced all of you, I would request all of you, each of you, basically, to come up with your own stories. Yeah, maybe a 3-minute introduction, what you would like to say as to what you do, so that audience has a better, of course, Tinat has very nicely talked about your entire journey, but your own story, how did you think about it, what made you think, how did you start your business? So can we start from Riddhi here?
I think once upon a time, when I was in school, one of my teachers wrote a remark on my report card, which said, "Chatterbox can't stop making stories." I think neither her nor my mom thought or even imagined that 30 years down the line, I'll actually make a profession out of it. So for me, I feel thought in a dot, marketing, stories, whatever has happened not, I don't think there's a reason behind it, other than the fact that I've always said yes to the opportunities that have come. I was always one of those people who would say, okay, this is new, let me try it. And that curiosity of collecting these dots, be it starting my career as a journalist right in the college, second year, being part of the first campus newspaper, selling newspapers on Wednesdays, going to classes, attending them. The campus newspaper still survives. It was 2006, 2005, and at that time, startup wasn't actually a buzzword. And in second year, we all came up and decided, chalo newspaper chalate hai. And one rickshaw wala bhaiya would give it to us. We will go distribute it in entire North Campus. South Campus, someone from LSR was leading it. So, the fact that zest to get your hands dirty, to understand, to ask questions, rather than just, going through finding answers myself. I was not afraid of asking questions. And as ma'am just said, we are all micro entrepreneurs. I think over a period of time, one philosophy, I was just discussing it with Yuki and Dipanita ma'am today in the morning, that I actually come from Assam. I was born in Guwahati. Okay. And my father was a chartered accountant in one of the oldest firms here. And then, of course, I moved, I think, right after nursery. So I hardly have memories. But every now and then in our conversations, Assam would, of course, drop by. So I think Lahe Lahe was one thing that I always stayed with me. And I would say, they say, you have to keep pace with things. I think I took my own time. I first was a journalist. Slowly now it's been 14 years in social media marketing, and I think I'm still learning. So when it comes to being an entrepreneur, I think Lahe Lahe always works because you're still learning every day. And the slower and the steadier you are, the greater the chance of you surviving. So yes, we are connecting the dots of telling stories of leaders, brands, and entrepreneurs. But I'll keep going Lahe Lahe till the time I think in continuum always. Over to you, Chiragh.
Surely. But before you, just one more thing which I would like to ask you.
Sure.
Why Thought in a Dot? Why did you name your firm from Thought in a Dot?
So Thought in a Dot has multiple meanings, but the one that inspired was this dot. The bigger the dot, the bigger the thought. And I think every dot in my journey as well as in your journey, I like to collect these dots of curiosity and connect them in terms of stories that we can tell to people.
Okay. Thank you.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, surely. We found actually the name very interesting. Yeah, over to you, Chiragh.
Okay, so I believe that life is boring. You got to make it interesting. You got to be naughty. You got to take the risks. So my life started in a boarding school. At the age of 6, I was thrown into a boarding school saying he's the naughty guy in the house. And I loved it. Traveled the world, came back, worked in London, came back, did events, PR, marketing, everything I could. Door-to-door salesman. Luckily, didn't get to work in a bar. That could have been the ultimate low for me. But then, when I came back, I started working in PR. And I realized that it's where I wanted to be after being everywhere around. Because it gave me an opportunity to work on so many different things at the same time. You might be fighting a crisis, and then you might be creating a launch for a brand. And therefore, I think PR is where I settled. Our company got acquired a couple of years ago, and then I've started Sevenfold Communications, which is a new venture. And because we had this 1 year of no-compete time, so I thought, I shouldn't be Vela. I should do something interesting, take a risk. So I ventured into 3 new fields that I was never into. Hospitality, FMCG, and education. And I think I've learned a lot. So I believe that all of us need to get out of your comfort zone, try new things. Even if you fail, it's not a problem. Just don't invest too much money or don't take a loan. Invest in services, not products. And invest small. And now I'm here. And I'm happy to be back in Assam, Guwahati. I worked here many, many years ago for a campaign. And it's changed a lot. And I think the people stay the same. And thank you for this opportunity. I'm very happy to be here.
Again, another question. Again, the name caught me actually. Sevenfold communication, right? So normally when we talk about sevenfold communication, we talk about the audience, the target, the message, the medium. The normal management student would always look at that. Was that in your mind when you named it?
So there's no logic to it. I had a person who used to work with me. I said, let's book a domain, let's create a company. And I didn't want to focus and spend too much time on doing my own branding. I think your work does your branding. So he said, sir, sevenfold.in mil raha hai. I said, le lo.
Okay, okay.
And that's how we started.
Okay. This must be resonating with a lot of people who are here. How do we name our whatever enterprise we have taken up, you know? And then we try to connect why we have named it and then possibly build our story around what we have, the name here, right? Right? Sure, sure. So over to you, Sanghamitra. And interesting that you've named your brand Sanghamitra.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people told me that why Sanghamitra, and for me, it was very important to keep my name to the brand associated instead of actually calling it something else, because that's what I feel reflects our heritage and culture. So Sanghamitra started as a passion project while I was studying in London. I have to give credit to my late father, who was the pioneer in actually pushing me forward to actually create something on my own, because he always said to me that no matter how far you go, always remember your roots, because that's what you come back to. And for me, that was very important. While I was studying fashion business management in London College of Fashion, I took this decision that I wanted to come back to Assam, Guwahati, and to kind of take these beautiful fabrics and give them a global platform where they could actually flourish in their full potential. And that is basically the idea of bringing these beautiful hand-woven fabrics like Pat, Muga, Airy Silk, and other, associating and collaborating with other artisans from all over the Northeast, and finding the right kind of artisan networks, and at the same time, you know, selling the concept, not just selling clothes, but selling the story of the brand behind, where these fabrics come from, what stories go behind in telling these things, and the hard work and the labor, giving the artisans the right kind of opportunity to even have a face and name. So that was the idea behind Sanghamitra, and the rest is history, as, as you can see. I'm not much of a wordsmith, but I'll try to keep articulating and putting it forward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Samrat. So Samrat comes from SRD Nutrients, a name that we are all familiar with. Repose is something, or one of the brands is Repose, right?
Yes.
So what would you, as a person, second generation, joining into family business, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Third generation, actually.
Okay,
my grandfather
third
started
generation. Okay,
this,
yeah.
I was considering how I should do this, but I think like Chiragh, I grew up in residential school, barely from the time I was 5 years old. But as I grew older, became the designated cook in the class. If I remember, we used to have these rasgulla cans, you know, where you make the halwa, and then we, of course, had to use firewood. This is in Shillong, and it was typically cold, but I grew very fond of cooking, maybe because I liked food. And after I graduated, while considering what I should do, the prospect of coming back home and being a cook again, this time perhaps a baker, was interesting to me. And I went and did a couple of courses here and there, and we were based out of Mongoldoy. So in '98, we thought that maybe we could experiment with coming to Guwahati. Yeah, and that's how it started. And subsequently, after that, we got opportunities to. I got opportunities to cook in a much bigger way, which didn't involve any cooking anymore. Now I think I'm more of an Excel sheet cook. Still try to do that once in a while. So because I started early, I was lucky and became a little successful early in life. So I got greedy. So now instead of wanting something, I wanted everything. So my interest evolved to other areas of life where one could get more. And most of my work is now based on trying to incorporate these learnings that perhaps in our country are thousands of years old, but never really implemented at work. And I'd love to be able to share some part of that here so that it might be useful to people. Yeah?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we've got this first round of introduction from all of us. We know what they are doing. Now, now I would like to throw a question which is open, and I would ask all of you to just interact on that instead of going one by one to each of you. Would you like to share, whoever can take the initiative to do that, share, because we're talking about marketing strategy, any experience from your own journey as to what marketing strategy you have taken up and how it has worked, and what's advice, I mean, what has been the key learning out of that strategy that you have taken up? Any incident from your life, any incident from your journey? Any one of you can pick up. And then you all can start, yeah.
So I'll take that.
Yeah, sure.
So, considering I've worked across many cultures, I would say, not really regions. So marketing is all based on culture. And when I was in England, if I had to market to the Asian audience, I had to be on ground. If I was marketing to a different diaspora, I could do it through television or digital or print. So I think the core strategy of marketing is understanding the culture and then creating your communication around it and the device for communication, the way you send out the message. I think that's how it works. It works for me at least.
I think the moment the word strategy is thrown at me, I go back to my journalism classrooms. And the first thing I was taught the moment I entered the classroom was the 5 W's and 1 H. And I think nothing has changed in my life since then. I don't approach, be it a leader we are managing or a brand I'm managing or an event, without answering the 5 W's and 1 H, which is what, where, when, why, and how. And I feel that simplifies everything for me, be it a basic story I have to write, be it a founder's approach, be it a brand's approach. And also, I don't, as an agency, we do not have a rate card. We do not have a set structure. This is the 10th year now. And one thing that you said in the starting, that there are, again, I'll harp onto it, that we are all micro-entrepreneurs. A lot of us have either stumbled upon it or are following our passions, or, it has just happened and we are trying. And we have the privilege to try in our generation. And even the ones have more of the ones that'll come, because we have that base set from thanks to the fact that the parents, we don't have to worry about, okay, we have to bring food to the table. I feel my mother taught me one thing, coming from a middle-class family, was that no matter how much is there, she'll make sure that the household runs. And I feel for a startup and for a marketing strategist working with a lot of startups, that's one of the reasons you should always keep in mind when you're building a strategy. Don't go running into all directions.
See, go running into a direction.
All directions.
Okay.
हिंदी में एक कहावत है, जितनी चादर है उतना ही पैर फैलाइए. अगर आपके पास में उतना ही बजट है, do 2 things. Don't do all 10 things. But do those 2 things right. I think strategy is not about running around, आज ये trend कर रहा है, मैं इस पे जॉब कर लेता हूँ, अभी वीडियो बना लेता हूँ, बाद में कुछ और कर लूँगा. Don't do everything. Do one thing, but do it right.
How does one decide what to do?
Which for that,
any one of you. How does one decide?
Sure. Samrat, do you want to take it up?
Yeah.
I think when I started, we were a very small organization, and typically what comes to mind is that we have to go out there and present ourselves. And the first thing I looked at was, how are we going to setting up hoardings? But the moment I went out there and looked at what one hoarding costs, I think it was maybe some 30 or 40,000 rupees per month for a decent hoarding in Guwahati in those days.
Okay.
I didn't have the money at all. And then we looked at other things. FM was something that was just beginning to come up. And I realized I really don't have any money to do any form of marketing at all. So what was the option left to us? I think in the very beginning when we started, we had to choose that, okay, instead of trying to grow very radically, maybe we need to grow a little organically. So most of my marketing strategy depended on making products that people would consume and then speak to others about it. Now that we could afford it, because then Repose was a very small organization. We were barely 26 people odd, and maybe we'd opened 2 retail outlets across Guwahati. That probably changes as the scale of the company increases. And now if you have huge production capacities, you need to exhaust those capacities as rapidly as you can. And then, all the other forms of marketing come in. Now, if for me, that choice, it was not really a choice, actually. I didn't have money. So it was not too difficult to fall into that space where, one would, what can I do when I don't have any money? And it just slips into that gap. Yeah.
Okay. Anything you would like to add?
When I started Sanghamitra, there wasn't really a strategy because it was really a company based of 3 people, consisted of 3 people. And our idea was to put across the message of sustainability. That was back in 2008 when people were not even talking about sustainability. So people would look at us like, who are these weirdos in fashion that are suddenly speaking about sustainability, and what is sustainability itself? So because there was no idea or concept of slow fashion, which is what we were promoting, and that became quickly my strategy to I understood that that's the USP of the brand, that I knew that if I wanted to go ahead with this, that I would have had to push forward with that. And my basic idea at that time was to do as many trade shows, participate in as many fashion weeks, so that we can actually come ahead and tell our story. And that later helped to build the brand to take it where we are today.
Okay, so we've heard from 2 of them, and each of them said resources are constrained, but they had their own ways of thinking and projecting what they had. Would you all like to add to anything? Yeah.
I think every startup goes through this. You know, you have to think through it. And as he said, you have to step out of your comfort zone. We were talking leadership branding 10 years back. Nobody even wanted to give me work for founder stories, for telling me my CEO even needs a person to write. You know, it's okay. People were, you will not even share a story. Today now people are like, okay, you've been doing it for 10 years. Why didn't we know about it?
Okay.
So the fact that nobody was talking, but I still stuck onto that idea. I clung on to it, to the fact that no, you know, there will be time when the founders will have to tell their stories, because all other means will be the most expensive ones when it comes to branding and strategy. So, and then came Canva. For the good 3 years, I ran the agency without a designer. A designer used to be, and this is 2015. The company was born out of necessity. I delivered my first one and I said, I don't want to sit at home. So let's just start a company. And I was already working. So I said, okay, let's do it. So I'm saying I think everything is, necessity is the mother of invention. And I think that's what all founders somehow manage.
Right. So, yeah, would you like to add on something? Yeah.
No, I think you got to really be smart, and I think what KitKat did, it's a good case study. So there was a slogan: "Take a break, have a KitKat." I think it's one of the best slogans ever created. But what they encouraged in the ads was always share a KitKat. So the idea was, though you have 2 fingers, you take one and you give one to your friend. That means you have not had enough chocolate, you'll have to buy the second one. So it's the strategy is based around not only the ad campaign we see, it's about the product, it's about how do we double the sale of the product, how do we channelize it, and how do we project it. So I think, yeah, that's...
Yeah. So, you know, from 2 of the speakers here, 2 of the panelists, Sanghamitra and Riddhi, what comes out very clearly, they were forerunners to a large extent. When you talked about sustainable fashion, you were talking about storytelling, which was not there now. But then another message which comes in very clearly is that you stick on to your conviction when you're sure about, right? So normally that is the time in which most of us, our entrepreneurs, are not sure. They become frustrated. They are, you know. So when you're doing research, when you're when you have the conviction to do something, a message can be that stick on to that, hold on. Your strategy is going to work, right? Is that, I think this message is coming in very clearly from all of us. I'm sure the audience would like to hear some personal experiences, any personal experience of having tried out something and then, you know, that has worked in your life, in your business, anything any one of you would like to share before we actually throw it, or any mantra that you would like to give them.
I'll take this.
Yeah.
So I think to survive in any field today, you need to understand how artificial intelligence is growing globally. AI-driven, there are 4 big aspects. I'll quickly take you through it. 2 are based on AI and 2 are not based on AIs, right? I think AI-driven data capability is important. Today, marketeers can use AI tools and really be pinpoint in what they want to achieve. AI is always working. They don't have a 9 to 6. So I think you got to really invest your time in reading about AI. That is in terms of data. Second is in terms of content creation. Generated content through AI is amazing. She was talking about Canva, and now we have people who can create videos and have the best looking people possible, and they don't even exist. And there are going to be situations, I think they're already doing this in certain countries, such as Dubai at the Expo, where you will be able to talk to an AI-driven avatar who will be able to judge by your expressions, are you being sold or not? And they will change the way they talk, the product they sell according to what they see from your face. It's precise. Third is, I think, micro-influencers. I think we all can talk about that. Yeah. And fourth, I think, to survive in today's world, you have to be a data science expert. If you can't read data, you're going to be way back in the line when you go to get a job. So that's it.
Anyone?
I'd just like to add to what Chiragh just said, and it's just a note, a request maybe. All founders must know how to leverage AI. It's not going to go away. Be it founders, be it even employees, your team members, it's not going to go away. It's just that how smartly you can use it to your own advantage, because it's here to stay, and trust me, you'll save on a lot of interns. If you're smart enough to tame AI to your own language model, because it's not something new. People might be thinking it's new. Google has been using generative AI for years. We have given all, wo Hindi mein word hota hai na, sarvasva. We have given our everything to Google by now. So by searching onto it. So they have the most trained search algorithm, all thanks to that same technology that now ChatGPTs are using. It's the same generative AI. It's just that it's getting far more powerful, far more convenient, and it's better to be aware of the danger that's coming to you, rather than just feeling, oh my God. Yeah, and it's free, exactly. Second is that algorithms will change, people will change, the brand attention span is shrinking by the second, not even by the minute. What will stay, I think Mr. Anurag also said it, is authenticity, is reality. What you know is unique to you, and nobody else can copy that. So just stick to what is true to yourself, rather than following a trend because it's trending, rather than following a technology because that's new. If it's honest, if it's true, if it's near to you, trust me, without even spending a bomb on a marketing campaign. And the biggest example of this is Pulse, the toffee that's there right in everybody's bowls. They are the biggest marketing case study in the country, without spending a penny on it. So if the product is good, what Samrat just said, I think we've come full circle. If the product is good, it'll speak for itself. It might take a little more time. You might have to adjust with the speed. But yes, if I was to go ahead and say, I think, yeah, AI is going to be staying here. Storytelling is going to be big. Collaboration, again, a very, very big term we use a lot in our agencies. You often want to call it white labeling. I used to call myself an agency dumpster for the first 5 years, because bigger agencies would, just dump work. Either feel bad about it or be happy you have work. So the fact that collaboration, AI, storytelling, and of course, being authentic, I think are 4 things that I'll stick to when it comes to marketing going forward.
I think hit on the right point, that while we are talking about strategy, eventually it's a service that you give and the product that is there, which is going to, and so organically things have to, it's the customer who's going to tell you whether you're going to last or not, whatever strategy.
Yeah, I have to add to that, as we are learning and growing with AI, we also have to definitely maintain our authenticity, because that is what is going to take you ahead in the long run. Because if we all start to blindly follow trends, then we will just be each one of us would be lost in the crowd. So I feel that being authentic, being true, that is very important. You will have a lot of naysayers. You will have a lot of failures. I think through your failures, you'll have to grow, because failing at something that you want to push forward doesn't mean that you are not good enough. That gives you an opportunity to go 5 steps forward and even push harder to be where you are. So that's what I feel, and definitely having the courage to hold true to yourself, your craftsmanship, that's very, very important in the long run, because again, with technology relies on our craftsmanship, our authenticity and storytelling capacity. I think that is what I had to say.
So when Dibandava told me that I need to come here and speak, I thought I wasn't too sure that I can speak here, because fundamentally what I do on a day-to-day basis is manufacturing, not really marketing. So I thought I must look up, and I was trying to listen to different podcasts, and this is one thing that came across very interestingly to me, and I'll try to express it best I can out here. There was this TED talk on marketing that I heard, where this gentleman explained about how Ares, who's the Greek god of war, marries Aphrodite, who's the Greek goddess of love. And they go on to have a child who they name Harmonia. And he was trying to explain the whole of marketing in that manner by saying, this balance between what you are capable of doing and the value proposition that you have been able to identify. So what your customer requires and what you are capable of. So that harmonizing is essentially what is marketing. I think I understood bits of it. I hope most of you understood more of it.
That is the key, actually. That is the key.
Yeah, so that harmonizing with authenticity, with a sense of ethical awareness is perhaps what cracks the best of marketing. I would assume that in Assam, most of the people who are wanting to learn about marketing are doing so for their businesses which are new. I think when a business grows, the possibilities that the tools and the capability that marketing brings into the business is enormous. But if one is starting, I feel that the fundamental focus must be on the honesty of the product itself. So because no amount of strategizing and trying to do various things would amount to much if it does not have. So for the product to endure, the product must have value to begin with. And there the first harmonization is perhaps critical for that product to be accepted in work. Yeah?
Thank you so much. But before we actually leave it to the audience, I would just like to ask you one more thing. See, we talk about Repose today as a household brand. So when you reflect back, what is the strategy you think? Was it a conscious strategy to make it a household name? What was the strategy behind making Repose what it is today?
In all honesty, I was looking at paying bank repayments at the end of every month. When we look back, of course, it's so easy to sort of find all our faults and then try and see how we can. It's very easy to look in retrospect and know the things that we have done and the mistakes that we may have done. But on a day-to-day basis, while we are solving problems, sometimes that is not as apparent. I feel that I've personally not paid enough interest to our own brand, trying to scale our business by doing other things. That's something I hope that I will be able to rectify in my coming years of work. But yeah, I think every business, eventually, the primary fuel is attention, and maybe I have lacked that, and I would like to, I think the success of any business eventually depends on, the granularity at which we are able to pay attention and solve the problems. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think let's make it more participative now, open it to the audience. From the audience, we've just had the interaction. I'm sure there must be many more questions in your minds. So you could just pick up the mic, introduce yourself. If it's targeted towards a particular speaker panel, you can just spell out. Otherwise, if it's an open question, you can just leave it open. No, they will have questions, I'm sure, yeah. Do we need the lights? Yeah, here we have. Someone is going with the mic.
My name is Akashdeep Barua. I have got nothing to do with marketing or business. I worked in Indian Forest Service, so I was a forester. But I'm a foodie. I ran a small restaurant for about 2 years, many years back. I have a question for Samrat, particularly because I'm very, because you run the repos, we take repos products, and you spoke a very important point regarding that is the sincerity, of the product, the integrity of the product. So there is one particular item, bakery item, we find all over the country. It goes by the name called brown bread. It is not brown bread at all. It is nothing but a marketing gimmick. It's colored brown, but not a brown bread. The only, I think Lawrence sells something called multi-grain bread, brown bread. It's still not the typical brown bread because I have made bread myself. I know how brown bread tastes like, what is texture like. The only genuine brown bread I've ever tasted in my life, because I was serving in Tamil Nadu, we find Oroville. So now as someone from SRD who is deep into this bakery product, why is it that we are not able to actually market a genuine brown bread, which is a very basic product? Okay. And why be so insincere? And I'll just take a little bit of liberty, being a devil's advocate. I find the modern marketing nothing but, how smartly and how safely you cheat the customer.
Oh my God.
I don't know if I'm wrong.
Samrat, before you answer the question, Samrat, before you answer the question, because I'm from marketing, I'll say how efficiently you can use the vulnerabilities of your customer rather than cheating.
Yeah, that's a better word, I think.
Yeah, you see the labels. The labeling, if you go into a label, you'll find exactly what it's not what the product, says so. It's something else totally. Like zero calorie product or something like that. Anyway, I'll come back to the brown bread, yes.
I agree with you in this sense, but when you do that, where you're cheating the customer, at best, you're a temporary boom. If you want long-term sustainable business, you cannot do that.
Samrat, you are wrong because you are totally wrong because brown bread is still selling in the market, you'll sell. My question is that why is the food industry not able to sell a simple thing like a genuine brown bread? I mean, you talk about integrity of the marketing, integrity of the manufacturer. There's so many panelists, there's so many people here. Yes. I must say basic thing because bread is something which from the very poor to the very rich they take. So let us be sincere about at least something as basic as a bread.
Understood.
Could it also be that, the customers are not aware what a brown bread is?
I'll try and
answer. Exactly.
I'll try and answer that, sir. So, you see, this brown bread thing, somewhere in 2004-05, it started to take off. And a lot of people would ask me, why in Guwahati people are selling ingenuine brown bread? So we were very gung-ho about it. I remember, first we visited gyms and we said, no, we can make you a very healthy bread. The idea, the difference between brown bread and normal bread is that, you're using whole wheat atta for one, and for the other one, you're using refined flour. So there's a certain amount of extra fiber, and it's considered healthier. When we went to gyms, people were excited. Yes, much healthier sandwiches and all. Gold Gym, I think it had just started around at that time. Everything was on, we put the product there. Nobody would eat it. Well, people, when they exercise, we try to explain this to ourselves. When they exercise, they think that they've earned their whatever junk food that they prefer. They don't want to exercise and after that eat bread that doesn't have sugar. See, brown bread, if it's meant to be healthy, then the sugar content also has to be kept low, right? So we failed on that count. Then we thought, perhaps we could try it with the hospitals. So we went to hospitals. We, again, put the product out there. Then what we realized that people who most need to eat this healthy product want to least eat it. We failed there as well. So I can give you two instances over time where we tried to put this. Now, why authentic brown bread does not sell is people want to eat healthy, but actually they just prefer to eat fat and sugar. So these are habit patterns that have been enforced very strongly. I mean, if some product does not have sugar, most of you will be aware that the reward pathways...
Bread doesn't carry sugar.
Oh, so if you're eating...
To the extent it is not sweetened, No. It'll have a little bit of sugar
typically
to give it a taste.
In Guwahati, minimum 10% sugar is there in bread. If we went to the rural areas, it could be 18 to 20%. If you went to Delhi and you had a sandwich bread, maybe it will have about 1%. The reward center's sugar hits are the same as cocaine, right? That's why people don't want to eat brown bread, despite people making it. they don't want to eat it. We too make genuine brown bread in very small quantities. So then again, if somebody is making artisanal product, they can do in small volumes. So for me, my mixers themselves are like 90 kgs. So if I take one batch, there's a certain volume that I need to make. But to me, since you asked this question, I feel that healthy food is not something people want to eat. It's something they think they should, okay. But when they put it in their mouth, that market hasn't come about. We're seeing now, your sourdough-based breads and all of that in Delhi, Bangalore, a lot of that is beginning to come through, but I wouldn't consider that market more than 1%. It's just the demand that is not allowing for authentic brown bread to come in.
I think SRD can take up the challenge. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, we're trying to do something in this direction. In about 3 months, there's a new facility that will be ready. I will invite you.
You're the one of the two firms from Assam who shared the podium in Advantage Assam, right? So I'm sure SRD can do something with brown bread for the sake of health of the Assamese and Assam as a whole. Thank you.
Yes, certainly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Who would like? Yeah, Rituraj.
And good afternoon, everyone. My question would be to Riddhi and Chiragh. Thanks a lot. You guys both help others to market and build their brands. How do you market yourself? How do you market your agencies?
I am a very proud citizen of Thought in a Dot, I should say. We have never done a marketing campaign for ourselves. I think, I do my own storytelling on LinkedIn, because of which I'm here, because the Pandita reached out to me there itself. And the fact that I think the biggest marketing for marketing agencies is word of mouth. That is what has worked for me. As I said, I have clung on to an idea for 10 years. And it is good content that people appreciate. I don't know how long I'll also be able to hold on to it. I think the biggest challenge when it comes to scaling up marketing agencies, the fact is that the more you grow, the quality starts to go down of the service. And that's why people often go to boutique agencies like ours for services. So I think marketing for our own agencies, yes, I'm also thinking of doing it up now with Google and what we do for other people. But I think if there was an answer to it, if you're looking for an answer that what marketing agents should do, I think personal branding is something that they should not be missing. Thought leadership is something they should not be missing at all. Case studies, thought leadership. And that's what we have done so far. When it comes to paid marketing, I have done zero, zilch, illa.
I'll hand it over. Chiragh, you can answer.
Still answering actually this question. Let him just complete.
So I think I second her thoughts for sure. So I'll tell you, we started a company once. I've started many companies, many have failed, and I don't regret anything. And the company's name was Always At It, and the slogan was, your good is our work. So if you do good for your clients, you don't need to market. Just stay with the clients, they give you enough business, they give you references, and that's the marketing. And obviously podiums like this, they work.
Sure. Someone else has a question?
I'm Mamuni Bhattakur. I'm basically an IT entrepreneur. I started my center, which was a pioneer, in the year 1988. Now, I have been facing a lot of, issues. And like my students, I had to do the marketing in IT area. And in many cases, I found that marketing and branding we can say influence to influence is the other name of marketing and branding. If you can influence, you can convert, you can really do it. Because the normal policies and the other issues that we have usually done, we have studied in the theoretical or in the practical experience, I find that there were some other issues which were not in the books, or maybe we don't discuss about those problems, but we need to know about those areas also to influence. Those issues. So for that reason, I feel that we need to have the knowledge in all areas in the 360-degree angle. because I felt that I need to have some knowledge about laws, some tax, and many other issues in order to also, how to manage the human resource. Some family problems are there because some customers who are very interested, my students, they could not take admission even if they wanted to do it because there were some issues which they never think of. Anyways, thank you.
I'll just conclude. I think I got a gist of it. And I think that's a very entrepreneur problem. Having no knowledge of 360-degree things is something that we all feel. I think I think I should be saying it from the stage or not. I don't hold any marketing degree. I have been running a marketing agencies for 10 years, have been in the field of social media marketing for 14 years. The only degree in the name of marketing I got was, I think, a couple of years back. That was also not a marketing degree, but I went to IIM Bangalore as they offered a scholarship. And that was my just a self-credibility that, okay, I've gone to some management institute. At least now I won't say I don't have a marketing degree. So I feel you all learn on the go. When it comes to answering the second part of your question where you were saying that your influences, I feel very, very, I think, trite question for people, a trite answer for people sitting here, but not a lot of people know, but content, context, connections, and the right communication strategies. If your content doesn't have a context, then also it fails. If you don't have the right connections to scale, then also you'll have roadblocks. So right strategy needs to have all these C's together, clubbed together. You should know how you can leverage your connections. You should know what content should go out. You should have a context. If content is the king, context is the queen. You can't go without it. So I feel you need to put all your ducks in order in one row, and then you need to take them. I hope I have answered. I
think that answers it all. Wonderfully stated, content, context. You need someone, contact to take you forward, right? That's what you require from the ecosystem. It says it all. Maybe we take in just one more question. Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. My name is Pratik Podar. I run an electric vehicle assembling and distribution center. I've been doing it for the last 5 years, and during this course, like for my electric two-wheeler, I have associated with a lot of influencers who deal in automobile industries. But like the continuation to that question, we have identified an influencer and a few market agency to work with them, but ultimately we didn't get the result. So how should we, analyze whether this influencer will be helpful to us or not? And there's one more question, like just to add up, like a lot of time we end up paying extra to those influencers, but we still don't get any result. How to assess that, value of an influencer so that, we get the right ROI?
Okay, so I've worked with a lot of influencers in my life. I've also worked with Auto Expo Siam, so I think I'm fit to answer this question. I believe when you're working with influencers, paid is the last route. Even though they'll ask you for money, but you have to create an experience for the influencer so they want to associate with you, not for one time, for a long time. And you will only see results after 5 or 6 activities. It's like when you start a business, you will not expect skyrocketing growth in the first year, 2 years, 3 years, right? So I'll give you an example. You've all heard of Vivo mobiles. So we used to handle Vivo mobiles. And they came to me saying, Chiragh, we are not competing with Apple. We want to ensure that when people talk about camera or music quality coming out of the phone speaker, we should be known for it. So I was like, okay, let's not go with 100 influencers and do an event. Let's take 20 influencers, 10 tech, 10 fashion, and 10 lifestyle. And let's take them across India for an IP, intellectual property we created known as Vivo Escapades. So we took them to Manali, we took them to Andaman Nicobar Islands, we took them to Jodhpur. And what we made them do was give them tasks to create content on the go, which also benefits the audiences. It's not about, okay, I take money and I promote a product. No. So we told the guys who went to lifestyle and adventure, you guys paraglide and record your experience using a mobile phone. The people who went to fashion, we took them to Rohtang Pass, and we told them, why don't you do your fashion forecast for the coming winters with a mobile phone? So the idea is you have to teach the influencer or work with them on what to do. It's not about the money. If you always evaluate the money, you will never get your ROI. ROI will only come based on the experience and the bond you create with them, and then you will end up doing it over and over again. So be patient and give it some time.
I have a question for you both. I want to know what is the importance of influencers in today's day and age when you're talking about AI, when you're talking about digital progress. So how do we actually choose the person to represent our brand when they don't even know what goes behind building the brand, what goes behind the entire work that happens? They're just a face, right? So how do we pick a right influencer or are influencers having any influence at all in this mass, expansion of every nook and corner? There's a person calling themselves an influencer. So how do we actually pick the right one?
I think you answered it in the end. There is an influencer every nook and corner, but I think they are just namesake influencers. When it comes to a real influence, I think I was also about to add to his question as well, that influencer choice is of most importance, especially people who are starting out. I don't suggest them to get their hands burned by directly going with a pretty face. Yes. For example, if I was to promote Sanghamitra, I will find an influencer who's not a fashion face. I would go to someone like a Kanpur blogger. I'm forgetting the name of that woman. She's a doctor by profession, and she runs beach cleanups in Kanpur, and she, or from her handle, goes ahead and talks about how you should live sustainability in your everyday life.
Somebody who's rooted in that, yeah.
Someone who's rooted into your brand value, but not brand product.
No, exactly, yeah. That's what I feel.
That's something very clear and very important message coming across. I hope the audience has taken, most of the entrepreneurs have taken.
So I would rather go to her rather than going to an influencer who's like, oh my God, she's so pretty, she'll wear the... if she doesn't even understand what's a Mekhla Chador, or, how beautiful Munga Singh is, if she's trying that, I might just go and click, but I'll not buy. You need to find an influencer who will sell rather than just influence.
Just to add to this, actually, when we say marketing, it's not just the advertisement that we are doing. A lot of it is perhaps the product, which in turn also depends on the processes you're using, the people that are involved. Eventually, ROI is dependent on a whole matrix of things. You cannot, just pull out one thread from there and say that, okay, this was the factor that was responsible for for us not being successful in getting the ROI that we desired. It's a whole matrix of things. So just being able to say that, okay, this influencer didn't work for me, may not bring the whole thing together. Then you have to look at the overall macro dynamic of what you are doing, and then, the combination of all of those factors coming together delivers on ROI eventually.
Yeah, I think very well put, because at times influencers are not, thank you Samrat for putting it out, that sometimes you're actually getting the influencer just for awareness and not for selling. So if you should know what is your end goal to involve that influencer. Is it just for eyeballs? Is it for sales? So what is it? So you need to know what you want from them. And as Samrat just said, it's not, marketing and branding is not just one thing. And ROI, like especially we struggle with it a lot because we are a creative agency. So a lot of times I can't measure what I do in terms of numbers. And I say my ROI is return on impact and not return on investment. So if ROI for me is return on impact, then I need to identify that, because branding is not about selling the product. It's about the experience. It's not about showing what my brand can do. It's about how the product made me feel. And I think that's how you also choose the influencer.
Yeah.
Okay, I love case studies. So last one. Super Bowl America is one of the most premium places to advertise in. Mercedes paid a lot of money to be the sponsors. So Volvo, so you've got to be smart in advertising, right? The more witty you are, the more eyeballs you'll get. Therefore, maybe the sales. By law of average, every 10%, one out of every 10 people is your client. and one guy will never buy you. It's about the 8 people you have to influence, right? So what Volvo did, so they put out only on social media ad, saying when you will see a Mercedes-Benz ad on the TV, you tweet using Volvo car Super Bowl, and you might win a car every 10 minutes. So Mercedes paid for it. Volvo didn't pay anything, but they leveraged on Mercedes' popularity and super popularity to get the eyeballs on social media. So Mercedes did not trend on Twitter, but Volvo was trending on Twitter. So you got to be smart when you market. It's not always about the money. It's about the idea.
I think we've already crossed our time. I mean, maybe we are just on time. We wind up here. The message comes in very clearly that we need to look at things holistically. Marketing strategy is one aspect of it. Even ultimately, it's about the quality of the product, the customer satisfaction, and how you leverage what you are doing to and then also the patience to wait. Having your own strategy, patience to wait, and then build up slowly, yet with full confidence. That's the message coming in very clearly to everyone. Thank you to all the panelists. And the last word, when you're talking about ideas, I think in today's world, when we're looking at entrepreneurs, the dearth today is not of money. Dearth is today of ideas, right? Ideas, because idea is something we are all looking for, and there is no dearth, there's dearth only of ideas. And one thing which comes to my mind when we're talking about Mahakumbh, all of us, Amazon's ad, that, that beds that they made out of their boxes, Dabba se barkar. So I think that was a fantastic idea, very impactful idea. I'm sure many of you must have seen it. On that note, thank you all very much, and we close. Thank you.